Ryanair, Europe's budget airline giant, has delivered a blunt ultimatum to Boeing, a move that's sending ripples through the aviation world. The Irish carrier, known for its aggressive cost-cutting and no-nonsense approach, is not mincing words this time. If new US tariffs push up the price of jets, Ryanair's massive $30 billion order for Boeing aircraft could vanish overnight. This isn't just a threat, it's a clear warning that Ryanair is prepared to walk away if costs spiral out of control. Ryanair's outspoken CEO, Michael O'Leary, is putting Boeing's future business on the line. His message has reached not only Boeing's boardroom but also US officials and policymakers, highlighting the high stakes involved. For Ryanair, every single dollar matters. Their entire business model is built on razor-thin margins and keeping fares as low as possible for millions of travelers. Unexpected tariff costs could shatter this low-cost model, forcing Ryanair to raise ticket prices and potentially lose its competitive edge. Higher fares would hit passengers hard, especially those who rely on affordable travel. Boeing, already under immense pressure from production delays and quality concerns, simply can't afford to lose such a massive order. The stakes are higher than ever for the American aerospace giant. The fallout from a canceled deal would be catastrophic, sending shockwaves through the global airline industry. It would raise serious doubts among other major buyers and could even impact Boeing's reputation worldwide. Ryanair's bold move turns what should be a straightforward business deal into a high-stakes geopolitical chess match. It's a vivid example of how US trade policy can instantly threaten American industry and jobs. The airline is leveraging its enormous buying power to influence not just Boeing, but the broader landscape of international trade and aviation policy. Ryanair is making it clear that it won't be held hostage by external economic pressures. Historically, Ryanair has been fiercely loyal to Boeing, building its entire fleet almost exclusively around the 737. This partnership has lasted decades and shaped both companies' fortunes. But now, even decades of partnership and mutual success aren't enough to guarantee future business if the price isn't right. Ryanair is showing that loyalty has its limits in today's cutthroat market. In today's volatile and unpredictable market, financial pragmatism trumps loyalty every time. Airlines must adapt quickly or risk being left behind. Boeing now faces a stark reality: adapt to Ryanair's demands or risk losing one of its most important and influential customers. The next move could reshape the future of both companies and perhaps the entire aviation industry. Ryanair's anxiety is rooted in the unpredictability of US trade policy, a factor that can shift overnight and send shockwaves through the entire aviation industry. The looming threat of tariffs is never far from their minds, as new regulations or political tensions can instantly raise the cost of doing business. Even a seemingly minor price hike on a multi-billion-dollar aircraft order could upend Ryanair's entire financial strategy, forcing the company to rethink its long-term plans and projections. The airline's business model is built on relentless cost control and razor-thin margins. Any increase in aircraft costs threatens its ability to offer the lowest fares, which is the core of its appeal to millions of travelers. Tariffs could force Ryanair to raise prices, eroding its competitive edge and market share. Even a small fare increase could drive price-sensitive customers to rival airlines, making every dollar truly count. Michael O'Leary's ultimatum isn't just about price, he's defending the foundation of Ryanair's success, which is built on efficiency, innovation, and a relentless focus on keeping costs down. The global nature of aviation means a US-EU trade dispute can ripple through every part of the industry, affecting not just Ryanair but also suppliers, workers, and passengers worldwide. Ryanair, an Irish company buying American planes with global components, is caught in the crossfire of international politics, where decisions made in Washington or Brussels can have immediate consequences in Dublin or London. The airline is now forced to consider contingency plans, including seeking a more predictable supplier, diversifying its fleet, or renegotiating contracts to safeguard its future. This situation highlights how trade wars can disrupt even the most carefully planned business strategies, leaving companies scrambling to adapt to new realities and protect their interests. For Ryanair, the stakes couldn't be higher: adapt quickly or risk losing its hard-won low-cost advantage in a fiercely competitive market. The message is clear: Ryanair will do whatever it takes to protect its bottom line, ensuring that every dollar is accounted for and every decision supports its mission to remain Europe's leading low-cost airline. Ryanair's CEO didn't just threaten to walk away from Boeing, he named a specific alternative, China's COMAC. The COMAC C919, a direct competitor to the Boeing 737 and Airbus A320, is now on Ryanair's radar. O'Leary says if COMAC can deliver jets 10 to 20% cheaper, it's a game changer, potentially saving Ryanair billions. This isn't just a negotiation tactic. Ryanair's public interest gives COMAC new credibility and puts real pressure on Boeing. The market dynamic is shifting, it's no longer just Boeing versus Airbus. A third lower-cost player could upend the status quo. Even without formal talks, Ryanair's move signals to the industry that established airlines are willing to look east for better deals. Other carriers may follow suit, using COMAC as leverage in their own negotiations. What began as a response to tariffs could reshape global aircraft procurement for years to come. The Ryanair-Boeing standoff is a direct result of escalating US-China trade tensions. Aerospace is now a battleground, with aircraft sales and certification used as political leverage. For Boeing, the trade war is a double threat. China is both a crucial market and a powerful bargaining chip. Chinese authorities have slowed or blocked Boeing deliveries, often for political reasons, hurting Boeing's bottom line. Ryanair's threat to consider COMAC exploits this vulnerability, giving the airline extra leverage. The airline is hedging against a worst-case scenario where US-EU trade disputes make Boeing jets unaffordable. Global corporations now have to think like diplomats planning for sudden geopolitical shifts. A single policy decision in Washington can push European buyers toward Chinese suppliers. The aviation industry is now forced to navigate a complex web of tariffs, regulations, and shifting alliances. Ryanair's ultimatum hits Boeing at its weakest moment. The company is already reeling from safety scandals, production delays, and increased regulatory scrutiny. These issues have shaken airline confidence and disrupted delivery schedules, forcing carriers to operate older, less efficient planes. Meanwhile, the US-China trade war has dented Boeing's sales and opened the door for Airbus to gain ground. Boeing is fighting on multiple fronts, restoring its reputation, stabilizing production, and navigating volatile trade politics. In this climate, Ryanair's threat is more than a bluff. It's a serious risk to Boeing's future. Losing Ryanair would be a financial and psychological blow, signaling to the market that even loyal customers are looking elsewhere. COMAC is China's answer to Boeing and Airbus, backed by the full weight of the Chinese government. The C919 is designed to break the West's dominance in commercial aviation, starting with a strong domestic base. Chinese airlines have been encouraged to buy the C919, giving COMAC a solid foundation to refine its product. But the real test is winning over international carriers. Interest from Ryanair and others is a powerful endorsement, signaling that COMAC is becoming a credible alternative. Each mention by a major airline chips away at skepticism and builds COMAC's reputation. The journey is long, but the first signs of global acceptance are emerging. Despite the recent buzz and growing interest in China's aviation ambitions, COMAC faces a series of significant obstacles before its jets can truly take to the skies around the world. The company has made impressive progress, but the path ahead is anything but easy. The most daunting challenge is securing regulatory certification from authorities in the US and Europe, such as the FAA and EASA. This process is not only highly complex and technical, but it can also take many years and require the investment of millions of dollars. Without these certifications, COMAC jets cannot operate in some of the world's most lucrative markets. Beyond certification, COMAC must also establish a robust global support network for maintenance, repairs, and spare parts. This is an area where industry giants like Boeing and Airbus have spent decades building trust and reliability, ensuring that airlines can keep their fleets flying with minimal downtime. Without this extensive infrastructure, most airlines are unlikely to risk adding a relatively unproven aircraft to their fleets, as operational reliability is absolutely critical in commercial aviation. Trust is another major hurdle. Boeing and Airbus have earned their reputations through decades of safe, reliable service and thousands of successful flights. In contrast, COMAC is still a newcomer and has yet to demonstrate the same level of performance and dependability on the world stage. Airlines are naturally risk-averse, especially when it comes to passenger safety and operational efficiency. They will demand years of flawless performance, rigorous testing, and proven reliability before making significant investments in a new manufacturer's aircraft. Another challenge is that the C919, COMAC's flagship jet, still relies heavily on Western technology for many of its most critical components, such as engines and avionics. This dependence makes the program vulnerable to potential supply chain disruptions and export restrictions. For China to truly compete on a global scale, it must develop its own advanced systems and technologies, a process that will require significant investment, innovation, and, most importantly, time. Overcoming these hurdles is a monumental task that will test the resolve and ingenuity of COMAC and the entire Chinese aerospace industry. However, the company is determined to play the long game, learning from setbacks and steadily building its capabilities. The runway to global success is long and filled with challenges, but for COMAC, the journey has only just begun, and the world is watching to see how far they'll go. Ryanair's bold move could spark a shift in how airlines buy planes. For years, airlines stuck with one manufacturer for efficiency and simplicity. Now, Ryanair's openness to COMAC signals a new era of flexibility, where cost and availability matter more than loyalty. A credible third competitor gives airlines more bargaining power, driving down prices and improving terms. But adding a new supplier brings challenges. Training, maintenance, and logistics all become more complex. Airlines must weigh these costs against potential savings. Ryanair's strategy may inspire others to act as free agents, always seeking the best deal. The age of unwavering loyalty may be ending, ushering in a more dynamic and competitive market. Boeing's troubles, rising trade tensions, and COMAC's emergence are shaking the foundations of global aviation. The Boeing-Airbus duopoly faces its first real challenge in decades, with China's state-backed COMAC poised to disrupt the market. More competition could drive innovation, lower prices, and accelerate progress in green technology. For airlines and passengers, this means more choices and potentially lower fares. COMAC still faces a long road. Certification, support networks, and trust must be earned. But Ryanair's interest signals that the old order is shifting. The future of aviation is becoming more unpredictable, competitive, and exciting. The two-player game that defined the skies may soon be history,